Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So today I am taking a look at Justice League #1. So this is the new Justice line that takes place after the end of No Justice. So I went ahead and read No Justice 1 through 4. Originally I was going to read this first, but I think it really was a good idea to read No Justice first. So if you haven't done that, I have done a review of No Justice #1, so I'll put a link for that in the description box. Now, I apologize if there's some shadow or, if it's a little darker than usual, but these newer comics are so glossy. They're like magazines, so I'm really trying to cut down on the glare. So the cover, I think, is really nice. I like this Justice League roster. A lot of people have pointed out it's a lot like the Justice League from the animated series, but it's a little like Justice League Unlimited, actually, because it's a very large team. But we'll get into that a little bit more as we get into the issue. So the cover and the art throughout are done by Chung, and he's a really great artist, and the art on this is really amazing, and Scott Snyder did the writing. So we'll go ahead and start off on the first page, and we've got this big, and the scale on this story is tremendous. It's definitely feels a lot like a crisis event type thing. And sometimes I wish they would just dial it down and not have everything be so catastrophic. So anyways, there's this big thing flying towards the Earth. It's like a rocket or a meteor or something. They don't explain it at all, but you see it flying, and then you see it at a bunch of different time periods throughout. So it's like 5,000 years from now, 85,000 years ago, 85,000 years from now, and the present. So they're all watching it and then having different reactions to it, essentially. And they all basically either can't stop it or don't want to. So it's up to the Justice League. And we see the art here is really amazing. And we get the better credits. So Scott Snyder is the writer. Jim Chung did the pencils. Mike Morales did the inks. Tamu More did the colors. And Tom Napolitano did the lettering. So those are all guys we're pretty familiar with. You see them on lots of comics. So there's the Hall of Justice, and it talks about how it's made out of some really cool white stone from another, I think it's a moon, somewhere out in space, and it's a unique stone that always gleams, even if it's nighttime. And they've got their uniforms and stuff. It's essentially a museum in the front part. They've opened it up for the public. But in the back, I guess it shows it here just in a really small panel. It talks about how in the back there's where most of their stuff happens, and there's a secret door, multiple secret doors. So anyways, this was my favorite part, this two-page grouping of panels. So the Justice League is really big now. What you see here, these are all actually like team leaders, and they each have their own team. So Batman's here with, you can only see some of the team members, but Batman's here with Green Arrow. Flash is there with seemingly the Terrifics. You can see Plastic Man and Mr. Terrific. Wonder Woman's with her Odyssey team. So there's Swamp Thing and Detective Chimp and Zatanna. And I think Man-Bat. Aquaman's kind of cool because he's got Vixen and Animal Man with him, so they can obviously change into sea animals. And Hawk Woman, Hawk Girl, I'm not sure who all, I think that's Adam Strange, and of course Hawkman. And then you see Cyborg and Superman are together. Anyways, each of them are in a different part of the world, and they are fighting these Neanderthals that are coming up out of the Earth from underground. And they're attacking all over the world. So, leading all of the teams that are being led by these team leaders is John Jones, so the Martian Manhunter. And I think that's actually a really cool thing. And they set that up in No Justice, that the Martian Manhunter was basically the best team leader. Even Batman acknowledged that and put him up as their leader. So the cool thing about him is he's telepathic, so he can link all of these teams together. And this actually makes it the strongest version of the Justice League, I believe. So anyways, they're fighting the Neanderthals, but then another problem arises as, and this is what I'm talking about, the scale of this being crazy. So the surface of the Earth is breaking apart and coming off and gonna break away from the Earth. So the Manhunter figures out that the moon is being used as a magnet because it's got an iron core, I guess. I don't know if this really holds up scientifically, but anyways, the moon is being used as a magnet to pull chunks of the Earth's surface off. So apparently Batman's planted bombs on the moon, and Manhunter turns into this crazy dragon-type thing and flies into the moon, and they blow up the moon. The moon is destroyed. It even says here, we lost the moon? So yeah, in Justice League #1, the Justice League blows up the moon. Okay. I don't even know. It's like, where do you go from here? So I know issue 2 is out at least, maybe issue 3 even, so I'm actually curious if they address that. If you've read the later issues, let me know down in the comments. So anyway, Vandal Savage is the one that was launching the attacks with the Neanderthals, but the Neanderthals are really upset, of course, because the moon's been destroyed. I mean, even the guys who are living underground think it's unacceptable that the moon is gone. So they're probably going to rebel against him, but then he reasserts his... So he is reasserting his authority over the Neanderthals, but then Lex Luthor shows up and confronts him, and Lex pulls out a thing and freezes Vandal, so he's stuck. Vandal's really kind of a chump in this comic. So then there's a flashback to Martian Manhunter when his people all were burned up. It's really tragic. And then this is kind of cool here, or actually really cool, I think. So the Manhunter is able to link them all telepathically. So this is all in their minds, but it's called a psychic, psychic boardroom. So they are all able to meet there in their minds as if they were all meeting at the Hall of Justice. So that's really cool. And they are just, since they destroyed the moon, that took care of Vandal Savage as far as they're concerned. But they're now aware of this thing that's streaking towards the Earth, and all they do is talk about what they're going to do, whether they should try and stop it or not. And then they're like, well, oh yeah, so Lex basically just takes over. The Neanderthals pledge their loyalty to him, but he opens a trapdoor and they all fall through. And Vandal's just frozen there. But anyway, the Justice League have the option to use this crazy bullet that they've got. Let's see, it says, his bullet contains a miniaturized omniversal wormhole. It's encased in 10th metal. It should transport the totality, which is that thing streaking towards them, outside of the source wall before destroying it. So I don't know how that works, but whatever, it's science fiction. So they have the option to use their magic bullet, and they're deciding whether not to or not, and it keeps jumping back and forth to Lex Luthor. And man, the art throughout this is just awesome. I read this comic like probably 3 times before reviewing it, and I'm getting off on a tangent, but I just flip through it and look at the art. For the art alone, it's worth it. The story is pretty good, but I think they, especially for first issue, it's like, dude, calm it down. This isn't a 6th issue. You can pace for the trade a little. But anyways, the League's deciding what to do. Lex is just gloating and talking to Vandal. And then he reveals that he even contracted Vandal's base's construction. And so you see it come rising out of the ground there. It's the Legion of Doom. And then he unveils his Legion. So you see him there. Sinestro and Joker, Black Manta, Gorilla Grodd, and Cheetah. So that's awesome. Very cool, and the art, again, is amazing. And yeah, so the Legion of Doom is here, right in the first issue to battle the Justice League. I actually thought that was really cool. Maybe if they'd left out the whole Earth being peeled like a, hard-boiled egg and the moon being destroyed and just revealed the Legion of Doom. That would have been better in my opinion. Anyway, pretty cool setup with the Legion. And let's see, Vandal offers to join him, and basically Lex doesn't trust him, which is probably smart. And yeah, they just keep... This is one thing I kind of didn't like too. Like, they just keep talking about what to do, what should we do. And then they finally decide... Oh, it might have shown it on a different spot. Yeah, they finally... I guess it is kind of in this part. But because of... Oh, this is a vision he has. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. But basically they decide because of... it's a little confusing too, but I'm pretty sure they decide to let the thing hit the Earth because so much crazy stuff has happened. Like in No Justice, they released a bunch of new planets into the universe, and they opened up an intergalactic jail and let out all the prisoners. So there's just all this new stuff being introduced, and they kind of decide maybe it's the universe's will that it hit the Earth. Let me know if I'm wrong about that, because they do switch back and forth a few times. But while all that's happening, Vandal Savage gets killed, it looks like, by Lex Luthor. At the very least, he's beating him to death. And then Vandal Savage, yeah, he dies. So he cries out and he sends out all the information he has, and it goes to the Manhunter. And he sees all these things that will happen if the thing hits the Earth. So then he, including everyone being destroyed, so then he's like, oh no, I have to tell everyone that we have to actually stop it. But then when he reforms the deal, the League's all gone, and it's too late, and the thing hits the Earth. So then it says, let's see. So basically it just says the next issue is called Doom on Earth. So that makes me wonder if the deal flying to Earth is just Doomsday. That's how he arrived before. They make it seem like a bigger deal than that, though, especially in the first page. Like, there's, anti-monitors are watching it and everything. You've got Ganthet and the Phantom Stranger and these different, I guess they're gods in the DC world, universe of how they have gods. But anyways, it seems like a bigger thing than just Doomsday, although at the very end it kind of implies that it's Doomsday. So, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens. But anyways, it does end up hitting the Earth, and then they're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. So that's pretty interesting, and Lex is vowed to kill the Martian Manhunter. So then at the that's the end, but then after that there's a little preview comic for the Teen Titans. They've been really hyping this. I saw this preview in a few different issues. It does look kind of cool. They're fighting Brother Blood like they do in one of the DC movies. I'm trying to remember now. Maybe Batman Bad Blood or the Judas in the Judas Contract, I think they fight him. So anyways, it's like that, except they have a different roster, including some new characters. This is Crush, which is Lobo's daughter, so that'd be pretty crazy. There's a guy called Roundhouse, and this one's cool, just Jin, so a 4,000-year-old genie. That's kind of a cool idea. And then you got Red Arrow and Robin and Kid Flash, and they're fighting a bunch of cult members. And then there's this weird part too, which is, I don't know, connected, related, I guess. It's like a flashback. The art totally changed styles between the two pages, but I'm pretty sure they're the same comic. So anyways, a little preview at the end. I should say a little preview, but it's like 6 pages altogether. So the comic itself isn't as long as I would have thought. I don't know. I'm really curious what you guys think. I think a lot of you guys have probably already read this, so let me know down below what you thought of the issue. The art is phenomenal, and yeah, it was good. It makes me want to read the next issue. That's one of the things I go by, is how fast I read it. Like, do I turn the pages? Do I want to know what's happening next? And when I get to the end, do I want to read the next issue? If I do, then it's a pretty good comic. If I don't, then it's not so good usually. So I guess that's all for now. I could probably talk about this for half an hour or more, and we've already gone almost 15 minutes. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of DC Fans United. pretty awesome. As you know, we passed 1,000 subscribers, so that's cool. Got a couple of videos to commemorate that if you haven't checked those out. And been doing a live stream every weekend, so I'm going to try and continue to do that. And yeah, that's all for now. So hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.